Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. We are excited to have you here with us today. We hope that you were safe and warm inside your homes today because I hear it was cold everywhere. So I pray that you have been warm. Great evening, Tanya. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Cannot
Happy,
complain.
yeah, it's like happy to be here in a nice warm environment. As you can
Yes,
see.
yes. And we want to thank everyone for always tuning in and praying for us. Your comments, your shares, all of that is greatly appreciated. So we just thank you, thank you, thank you. And we live in a world now that is just super, super busy. Just busy, 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 busy. What can I say? And everything around us is just moving faster. Technology, expectations, schedules. But here's the problem: our brains don't upgrade at the same speed. When we overload our minds with constant activity, we don't become sharper, we become scattered. You ever heard of somebody calls you're scatterbrained, but you're trying to do everything and it's like, okay, you just everywhere, but how are you really getting those tasks done? Because really, as I've stated before, there is really no such thing as multitasking. You are doing multiple things at the same time, but your mind, your brain can only focus on one of those things. So today we're talking about why a fast-paced life often leads to a slow, tired brain, and what that means for our focus, memory, and peace. What do you think about that, Tanya?
I think it's right on the head, actually. One of the things that I quickly found out about that is when I became a parent and had to multitask, or had my attention divided in a multitude of ways and realized how actually impossible it was to function or to function properly, with having all of these things catching my attention and being pulled a lot of different ways. So I think there is a facade, when we mention multitask, when it really isn't something that benefits us in the big picture.
Yeah. Okay, so today our topic is fast life, slow brain. Fast life, slow brain. And currently, we are going to get into this topic, and you probably will be amazed at some of the things that you will hear today because I was like, really? Really? But Tanya is going to start us out with why multitasking reduces focus and memory.
Yeah. So one of the things, when you're multitasking, essentially you are, as it just sounds, you're taking different tasks or different things and you're putting it on your plate and you're saying, I can handle all of these things all at once. But essentially, what you're doing is when I was reading up on this, they compared it to like one big signal or one big wire. And when you are chopping it up, trying to do all these different things, instead of getting one strong wire, you're getting weak signals. And so, let's say, for instance, I'll take something very simple that I just spoke about, which was parenting, right? As I'm trying to make sure the needs of this child is taken care of and this child is taken care of and my own needs and work and trying to balance the things that I love like dance, you're not giving your full attention and actually wears down your brain. It causes fatigue, it causes stress, and all these things essentially do take a toll, on the actual function and development, like scientifically. It does this to your brain. So you're not really able to, um, really give the full function or your capacity to these tasks that you have at hand. I wanted to read something that it says, what it actually results in is shallow attention, being able or making more mistakes when you multitask, and slower completion or comprehension. Because when you think about it, you're doing one thing and then you have to disengage and pull back and then switch your brain to something else, which means now you have to reorient. So instead of progressing, you're having to take a step back, start from point A again to kind of reorient yourself to get ready for the next thing. But then you have to pull back again and then get ready to do something else. So instead of building that strong connection, instead of building that strong pathway, getting the tasks done, you're actually just doing busy work. You're not doing anything. You're not getting anything done, which again is not how the brain operates. It's not supposed to operate that way. Um, and it just takes a toll on the brain itself just by actually slowing it down and causing it to essentially get weaker because the neuropaths are not being able to be triggered in the length of time that it's supposed to in order to really complete whatever um, task or thought process or synapses that the brain is supposed to be completing at that moment.
Wow, that's deep. That is deep. Thank you for sharing it. It's like, oh, whew, kind of slow it down, kind of slow it down.
Right, right, right.
Thank you for that information. I know that is helpful. Uh, Hi, Deacon Holmes. Hi, Agnes Curley. Thank you all for tuning in as we talk about this uh, topic today. I'm going to talk about how constant stimulation rewires attention, how constant stimulation rewires attention. That's a mouthful. Well, first off, the brain adapts to what it practices most. So that's like when I said when people are trying to multitask. So if I am really trying to get this blog done, but I also got to make sure I send this email, what am I focusing more on? Am I on this computer? I'm switching to this computer, but my brain is really focused on what I'm focused on at the time. So although I'll say I'm multitasking, I am not. Because when I go back over here, I don't remember where I was. And that's why I'm apt to maybe make a mistake then because I am not fully focused on what it is that I'm supposed to do. But one of the things is when you have constant scrolling and multitasking, you are training the brain to expect continuous stimulation. So I have my phone and I'm looking at emails. I get this ding from Snapchat. I go over there and see, oh, my daughter-in-law sent me this cute picture. Then I gotta either decide I'm gonna save it in the chat. I'm gonna respond to her. What am I gonna do with it? And then I might see something over there. Well, what that wasn't there last time, so I'm gonna look at that. The phone rings. I gotta answer the phone. But my brain, so I'm telling my brain that the way I operate, I'm constantly doing something. I'm constantly doing something. All right. So that's what the brain thinks. I got to stay busy. Got to stay busy. Got to stay busy. So then what happens if I decide to slow down? Dopamine. It spikes when I'm on the phone looking at those Snapchats, maybe playing a little game of solitaire, saying, okay, I'm gonna slow down right now. But I'm still telling my brain that I'm moving, moving, moving. But when I decide, no, I don't want to do all these things, I want to calm down. Well, my energy level is just spiked. My brain is spiked now. So it doesn't know how to focus because it's waiting for those busy things for me to do. So I'm sitting there like I'm lost because my brain is waiting for that movement. It's used to going, going, going. So it doesn't know what to do when it's still. So then that's where people get in that lane where you're like, well, why are you not paying attention to me? I called you 5 times. What are you doing? Because they are trying to calm down, but the brain is not able to do that because it is steady, used to steady going. So a lot of times, and I'm going to say young men, but it goes for everybody. So what causes our young men then to struggle? They can't stay focused in class or work because now I don't have that phone to be fidgeting with or looking at. So I'm just,
Mhm.
because normally I would have my eyes focused on one thing. So now I'm just sitting. So I'm not focusing on my classwork. I might miss that assignment. The bell may ring. I may forget to pick up that book that I need to take home for that particular topic that I'm working on because now my brain doesn't know what to do. So it does not know how to act without complete distraction. And it's a rewiring. It's not permanent, but it's the way you're causing your brain to be rewired because it's requiring that intentional retraining. So you have to do some things in order to get yourself to then focus, right? So the thing here is to remember what you feed your what you feed your attention trains your brain. So what you feed your attention, so what you cause yourself to constantly do is what feeds your brain. So if you're focusing on binge watching on TV, that's what your brain wants you to continue to do. So when you decide you're just going to stop and take a nap, that's why they tell you don't be on your tablets 2 to 3 hours before it's time to go to bed because your mind is still wanting to be on that tablet. That brain is like, where is it? Where is it? And you're trying to go to sleep and you can't. So, what those activities that you're doing, remember that the activities that you are doing, you're training your brain to say, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And it continues to try to do it when you try to stop. That was scary when I read that.
One of the things, if I could piggyback off of that, as you are looking at devices and scrolling through, the more of the clinical or scientific part of it is that you're looking for that dopamine hit, right? So with the dopamine hit, your brain is either always going to keep running, looking for it, which is the distractions, which is why we're not being able to pay attention, or we get like super fidgety because the body or the brain is looking for the dopamine hit that they're getting typically from those devices. But also, too, when, again, just to reiterate, when you don't have those dopamine hits, then your brain literally gets sluggish. And so now we're going to look for those stimulations. And when we don't have it, we don't know what to do with ourselves. So, as from the other side of it, from the clinical side and my clinical background, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, even as you're explaining it, is the dopamine. Like our brain just wants that dopamine, but we're feeding it in the wrong way, and we're not able to situate ourselves, or kids aren't, or young men aren't able to situate themselves because their brain is still looking for that dopamine hit because we're so
Right.
used to. So exactly what you're saying. Exactly.
Yes.
It was really good.
All right.
So one of the other things that to coincide with some of those hormones, because dopamine is a hormone, is cortisol, and that's our stressor hormone. And when kids or people tend to multitask, as you were saying, you're doing one thing on one computer, but you're thinking about this and you're trying to do all this stuff. And my example of having kids and this and this and this, your brain is always on that go mode, which oftentimes equals stress. And so when stress, which is the cortisol, when stress is into play, um, it interferes actually with your memory formation. So that's where you run across people forgetting things, or even just forget about the cortisol. Like if you're multitasking, you're learning something, but it's not committed to memory. It's only for that moment in time.
Mm.
So the cortisol actually causes us to not remember. And that often happens because we're being pulled in lots of different directions when we multitask, or when we're trying to do something, we're constantly switching our triggers, which does not give our brain time to focus and really be trained on trying to stay still or not having those cortisol hormones flood our brain. So I thought that was really important because we oftentimes don't think we're stressed. As you said, if we're laying in bed just scrolling through, to us, that might be, I'm relaxing, I'm laying in bed, I'm just chilling. But actually your brain is getting warning, warning, we need to be on the go. We need to make sure we're looking at this. We're getting all of these inputs and not allowing our brain to slow down. It's just getting triggered right and left.
Yeah, that's funny because at night, because I most days I am on the computer working until at least 7 or
Mhm.
6, and then sometimes later. And then when I get off of the computer, which I've been on from the Mac to the laptop all day long, and I get into bed, I say, okay, I gotta relax. And I get my iPad, and my husband says, Deborah, put the iPad down. And I'm like, oh, but I gotta relax.
Right. And I think like because we're not consciously or intentionally thinking about something that we think we're relaxing, but our brain and our subconscious and all the things that our brain is responsible for, like the hormones, and sending out signals to the rest of the body to produce all these things, it's not getting a break. Like it's constantly in motion, even though we are thinking that we're relaxing. So yeah, I think that's a big one that I know I'm guilty of, like 100%. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So, if you have just joined us, we are talking about fast life, slow brain, and what the different social media and electronics and all of this has on your brain, and you getting stressed or tired, or why you feel like you can't focus at certain times. And it's something that is really, really essential for our teens and young adults when you really need to be focusing because you're in those higher grades in school. You need to make sure that you're understanding, getting assignments correct, getting them turned in timely. You need to make sure you have materials with you that you need for your assignments. So all of this is real key information. So, a lot of our young people may not be on here. So it is important that you please share this information. So I know we all know teenagers, young adults, and single moms out there that are raising these teens and single adults. So please, please share this information so they can get it. And it's interesting. Like I say, it was interesting to me when I was doing the research. Like, wow, what?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, most definitely.
One of the sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I'll say one of the really great things too, as we're talking about how this affects the youth, um, is that oftentimes the overstimulation creates brain fog, and that can sometimes be interpreted as laziness on on anyone who's looking into this person's life. And it's very important as someone like a mother like myself who is raising children in this digital world to also be very careful in how they see themselves, because they can also, not knowing what's happening, not knowing that they have this brain fog, can sometimes see themselves as lazy, or teachers can sometimes see them as lazy, but it's really not the case. And so that was one of the things that I took note of, was the fact that the brain fog can happen and how this can be interpreted or seen within studying or within school, where you think your child or the child um, is being lazy, doesn't want to do something, but perhaps it really is just that overstimulation, even though there's nothing going on. It's just overstimulation causing those hormones to spike, which ultimately is causing the brain fog, which makes them then shut down instead
Mhm.
of, it's not laziness, it's just the brain shutting down.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for bringing that point back up because that is really, really key because in certain situations, some kids tend to get labeled anyway. So then you have this going on and then they're getting labeled inappropriately. That can be huge.
Absolutely. And it
So
sets
that's,
self-confidence for that kid.
yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. And I'm going to finish out with the cost of never slowing down. Excuse me, the cost of never slowing down. So we have to, um, the constant motion, kind of creates um, chronic stress because you're always on the move. It looks like uh, everything on the outside is successful. So you want to keep it moving, you want to do these things, and your brain never has an opportunity to rest. What happens? Your memory suffers. It's like, okay, why, I used to could just remember stuff like that, but now I can't. But are you overexposing your brain? You just think about someone that runs. And so if they take a season off, and they could run a marathon, but then they take season off, they have to start back, and they may only be able to run 500, feet or yards or whatever before they get winded or whatever, because now they're not used to that, the breathing and the running for long periods of time. So when you treat your brain a certain way, it gets tired in the same way. It's like, oh my goodness, can I take a break? Can I take a break? But it reacts in different ways, so your memory might be impacted during this time. Your decision making weakens. And we found that young men often rest with laziness. And it's like, oh, so you're just getting lazy. What is your problem? And just like Tanya just pointed out, you think they're being lazy and they're not. It's just like, my brain's not going now. So it's like I'm trying to wind down, but it's like my brain wants to go, but I don't want to go. So, here I am. And you can be confusing people all around for different reasons. As an example, often I'll say, well, you got to pay attention because we have so much mental health. If you have a child, they've always been outgoing and want to do a lot of things, but now all of a sudden they don't want to. Okay, it may not be mental health. It may be that they're doing more on their tablets, they're doing more browsing, playing virtual games or whatever. And so now when they try to slow it down, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so, that's another thing. So we have to be really, really careful. Sometimes people just like to diagnose. If you don't know what you're talking about, then don't try to diagnose someone. But you have to like find out information like we're sharing tonight so that you can see the differences in, what happens when you're overstimulating your brain and it's looking for that dopamine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that takes, something altogether out. Then you can get burnt out, you can get irritable, you lose that motivation. So you want to try to start with small little habits. So I know that's the thing to do. Y'all like to get out there. And like I said, I thought I was resting at night when I get my tablet and start playing these games, but I'm not. And so then I wonder why I'm tossing and turning and not able to go to sleep. So when I break it down, I need to break it down all the way down. So we have to start. Maybe we can't start, cold turkey or all of a sudden, but at least try little steps. I'm usually on my tablet as soon as I get up and get dressed. While I'm waiting for my mom, I wait, and then on the way to school, maybe we need to stop doing that. So maybe you look at it a little while you're waiting, but then leave it home. Don't take it with you to school because there you go. And then you get to school and it's like you don't have that tablet. So you like, okay. So we have to start and work with our kids, not to say it's all on them, but we need to work with them when we find out there's information, whatever we can do to help them. Show it to them. Don't just, you're not going to be on your tablets, but explain to them why. If you can explain to them why and show them it's not nothing you're making up, it's true facts, and you're trying to help them, then they'll understand. So I'm gonna have to let's give it the time. Let's break, not spend so much time. It's okay if you get on there. I know it's something fun to do, but let's start limiting the time, cutting back on the time. And I think that will go a long way. Because we want to make sure that our minds are reactive. We can respond quickly to what's going on and things of that nature. So we want to be alert, and whatever needs to happen to ensure that does happen, we need to make every effort to do that.
And I think one of the things that you could do, and if we're just talking about like devices per se, like you said, not going cold turkey, but in the midst of saying, hey, let's pull back, we as adults can be an example of that too. Because if we're telling them to pull back, but then they see us constantly on the tablets or constantly on our phones or something like that, that's not setting a good example. And we actually seem like hypocritical in terms of why we think it's good. But then also too, as you're asking them to take time away from it, having something that they can replace it with that is non-tablet. So that also gives them kind of like a plan that's already in place. Because sometimes the hardest thing is, like you said, when you go cold turkey, your body, your brain, you want it. But if you could say, hey, let's not cut back 10 minutes of tablet, but we'll do a walk for 10 minutes instead. Like, it's giving them a plan already in place that they can kind of build upon as well.
All right. That's good. I like that. And then think about that piece. That's good. Replace it with something. Excellent. Mm-hmm. So I think, in my opinion, that this was, sometimes I look at these topics and I'm like, okay, maybe it'll be helpful, but I think, I think so, but in doing the research, I could definitely see how it could be helpful, because I know it's going to help me. So
you got something from it, right?
Yes.
I did most certainly.
Yeah, so we appreciate you all tuning in. Dan had an opportunity to get on, and he had a meeting. Thank you all. Appreciate you. And I know Curly did have a comment. And let's see. I saw it flash up. She says, Curly says, I have to tell myself, don't jump from this to that. Curly, complete this before I start doing something else. And that helps. Thank you, Curly. Most definitely that will help. But yeah, you have to tell yourself sometimes, because when you're used to doing something, you want to continue to do it because you enjoy it, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you so much. You have any closing comments that you want to share, Tonya?
I think we've covered a broad spectrum of what multitasking can do, how it affects the brain, and then some ways to counteract that and build healthier habits. So I know I'm taking a lot of this home and applying it, because I think it's important for everyone, no matter what age, because our brains are always developing and always building. And then also just to be able to apply it and share it to kids and people who have young people around them, so that they know, because technology age, it's hard to combat that, for sure.
Yes. And I can't see everyone's comments. You have to be subscribed, of course, to Build Your Best Life. So I know your mom is on watching, so please give her a shout out, Tonya.
Hi, Mom.
What's her name?
Oh, okay. Hi, Valerie. Mom, that's all that matters. Just kidding. But hi, Valerie. Thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you so much. And come back on. Don't just wait for Tonya now. Come back on. Check us out.
Yes. She does watch the episodes. This is just the first time she got to watch it live. But yeah, she does watch them.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. And we're going to be back on Tuesday for Blueprint for Success. And we have Avery Bryant from Jacksonville, Florida. He's an educator. And our topic is going to be teaching for impact, not applause. So I cannot wait for that. He was on a couple years back, so I'm excited to have him back on. So please check us out. That's Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 Central Time. But thank everyone for tuning in. Remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed, stay safe, stay warm, and I hope to see some of you on Tuesday. Good night.